Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to the fourth Kizuna AMA. So we've got Akira and Tats.
Hey, hello.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the fourth AMA.
So guys, before we jump into the questions, just going to give us a couple of minute update, a rundown of what's been going on over the last, I think it's about 6 weeks that we had an AMA.
It was exactly a month ago. Yeah, pretty close. Sure. Go ahead, that's.
Yeah, so for the past month or so, we've been focusing on building the second prototype for Kizuna, which will include peer-to-peer message, group messaging, file sharing, and as well as some simple contacts function, where you can add people and block people and whatnot. And so I think we are on track on having it something people could kind of see for themselves by maybe like April, if not May. And we're hoping also that some way we could provide this prototype as some sort of web apps people could access from their browsers. So we'll see about that. But anyway, that's what we've been focusing on. Um, and I think um, we'll have a day where we could uh, give a tour of that prototype, maybe next month or next month. So that's what we've been really up to on the development side.
Fantastic. Can't wait. Everyone will be excited. Akira, anything on the non-development side that you want to update people with?
Yeah, aside from the really exciting developments on the technology on Kizuna application, we have also seen some nice activities around the ecosystem, around the community. And so first off, we just want to share with everyone, and us Kizuna team, we are very supportive with Junto. They're having their crowdfunding right now. And so please head on over to their Indiegogo campaign and spread some love, give some love, contribute to their campaign. They're doing this really awesome social media application. Aside from that, we have been in contact with this group called the NY Textile Labs, who are doing who are planning to make their own Holochain application. And so Tats and I have been assisting them on the technical side and connecting them with the people around the community to help them set up their project. And aside from that, we've also seen some really good conversations happening around our Telegram channel. And it's something that makes my heart warm because you can really see how Kizuna brings people together in this day and age. And I think it's very, very nice to be able to, talk to these people. And so we've also seen some increase in number in terms of the community. So let's keep at it. Let's share Kizuna to more people around. And we're very excited. And also, we will be releasing later today, a updated roadmap for Kizuna. And so please stand by for that. A lot of people have been inquiring around when the alpha will be out, what are our priority features and whatnot. And so hopefully this roadmap that we will be releasing today would shed some light on those questions from the community. So, but overall, it's been really fun past month, and hoping that we could further nourish our relationship with one another. As we build Kizuna. So it's pretty much for community.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into the questions. So normal format, we've got some questions, and then Akira, you're on the live chat, aren't you? So any questions that are asked in the live chat will get pulled in and we'll answer them.
Right.
Okay. Super. All right. So let's get into the first one. So from Shiva, I've been researching about the project and I want to understand how will the technology fundamentally change the industry? He just muted their tats.
Yep.
Sorry. I think I can give an answer to this from the maybe like a technical point of view. And yeah, so one of the things that we are trying to, I guess, do with Kizuna is to sort of have to provide, basically trying to provide a tool where people could have the convenience of the instant messaging application without sort of, or actually having the convenience of that instant messaging application, all the while reducing the risk of sort of storing your data remotely and really thinking carefully about who can actually view your data within the network that you are in. And so traditionally, in messaging applications, you typically have a cloud server storing all your message histories, profiles, and whatnot for you. And this is very convenient, right? You can access your messaging application from multiple devices, or platforms. Actually, it could be from your browser, mobile apps, and whatnot. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to offer that same level of kind of like convenience. But for example, if you are a team or maybe a company, you could actually use Kizuna as a messaging application among your team members. But then that whatever data exchange within that network stays in, let's say, a particular Holo port that you want, or it may not be even a Holo port in the future. It may just be your computer or whoever's computer you choose to. So I think in a way we are trying to give people another choice of, like, how to communicate with one another, where to store these data that you create, you exchange with one another, how do you conveniently get them. And so thinking about these things, the benefits of what instant messaging applications bring to us, we're trying to kind of like offer the same level but with more choice for privacy and security, I guess. So technically that is what we're trying to do. Yeah, so I hope that shed some light on this question.
Super. Thank you very much. Okay, so from Mini Moy's Magician, hey, could you look at a forum thread? And I think Akira can share the thread in the chat, maybe. Bit of excitement there, B. So this yep, there's the chat there. So it's about smaller groups, asynchronous messaging, and encryption. I'm curious what your take on these problems are, even if you haven't figured it out yet, which is totally fine. I think they'll have to be addressed one way. So to summarize the question, there's a thread on the forum, and it's asking about how you would address smaller groups, asynchronous messaging, and encryption.
Right. Yeah. So first of all, thank you for this question, and we've taken a look at this thread, and it's a lengthy but I guess interesting thread, where the conversation about asynchronous messaging, especially with regards to encryption, happens in a smaller networks. And so in Kizuna right now, we are in the roadmap that we're gonna be releasing. There is a part there where we will be porting the capabilities of or more like for the entire group to be created as a separate DHT from the public DHT that we have, which we call the lobby. So in the lobby, you can converse with other agents in a peer-to-peer basis, right? But whenever you decide to create a group, which is 3 or more people, what we would eventually would like to do is for the 3 of you, which may be hosted in the Holo, which may be hosted or not, to create a group chat or create a separate DHT, basically, just for that group chat of yours.
Tats, can I just interrupt? Sorry for a second, because I was going to ask the same thing. Is that so? If it was a direct message, would that be a separate DHT as well? So is it any channel, or is there a particular characteristic of a channel that would cause you to create a new DHT?
Okay, so for one-to-one messaging, we are not creating a separate DHT, but then in terms of like exposing data in a place where other people could see, whether it's an honest act or a malicious act, what we're trying to do is whenever you converse with someone, nothing gets actually or actually the content of the message you are sending to that other person only gets stored in the other person's source chain. So we are not storing those entries in the DHT whenever you are conversing with someone on a peer-to-peer basis. And this will pose challenges regarding asynchronous messaging, especially if the other person is offline when you're trying to message them. And we are trying to work around these cases in Kizuna. But essentially, that's what we're trying to do. And for groups, your messages will be stored on DHT. And then we will have we will basically have. So we're still also debating. Right after this second Kizuna prototype, we're going to be doing the encryption scheme. We're going to be thinking about how encryption would work in a distributed network. And questions like, can we implement like double ratcheting keys for encrypting messages and whatnot will be explored. But for now, we are trying to create a group separately from one another. And then the person who made the group could assign other people also to sort of add more people or remove more people, which we also have to still explore. And there's also the challenge of how will this work in Holo if possible. So that's also another thing we have to still explore. We have no clear answer to that yet. So all in all, that's what we're trying to do. And so with this thread, I think it's close to solution 1 because we don't really have a control of like what people would like, how people would like to use Kizuna. They could use it as, they could run themselves as a node without relying on Holo. They could also just do that by accessing Kizuna from the browser, right? Or maybe download the app or whatnot. And so eventually people's data will be hosted where they would like to. Because when you are using Holo, basically you're saying, hey, host my source chain somewhere, hopefully trusted, so that I can access it everywhere. And yeah, so that's their choice. But we think people would still use Holo to access applications, which means there will be node in the network that can sort of hold these DHT entries for you so that relevant people could access them and retrieve them and then decrypt them with their keys. Yeah, so that's the kind of thinking we have with regards to this, I think. Yeah, so hopefully that answered the question. Not sure, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Does great. It's also showing the amount of complexity that's going into solving some of these problems from a technical perspective, but also the breadth of the solution from a user's perspective. Quite. Yeah. And so you're dealing with the complexity on two parts rather than simply saying, I'm building this application in a data-centric way and here's what you have to do with it. You are completely opening up what's possible doing with something.
Yeah.
Okay. Super. Okay, that's a great. Okay, so then from AT, when can we launch the alpha version?
Just a moment. Where's that? Yeah. So where's the roadmap? So right now we're building the second prototype of Kizuna as we've mentioned, and so after release, so hopefully the end goal is for people to be able to access Kizuna through their browsers, even if they don't actually own a Holo port. So if that works, the next work will be encryption scheme and also P2P voice and video calls. So we're probably going to be using WebRTC for this, and we still have to think around that part of that feature for Kizuna. And then the one I talked about a while ago, which is we have to port the current code base that we have into a clonable DNA pattern, basically meaning groups can create their own networks separated from the public one. And then after that, we could do a closed alpha test where people could hopefully download Kizuna as a mobile app as well, or have it as a choice, and let people converse with one another and whatnot. And then we could move into the open alpha test and do some maybe like stress testing and whatnot. So with that, we're targeting maybe late this year, or actually I don't know about the exact date yet, but that's what I think right now seems to be the date which we could do that, end of this year or maybe start next year.
Thanks very much. Okay, so one that's come from Kevin in the live chat. How will you guys describe Kizuna to someone not well versed in Holochain?
Let's see. I think it depends whether that someone is if that person is someone who wishes to use Kizuna as some sort of replacement for already existing messaging applications, then there are a couple of benefits for that particular person, because generally it provides better security in terms of distributing the storage of data. That's one. And the ability to sort of have the convenience of messaging application without the risk of storing critical information in a place where third parties could always take a look at, or have they technically can. So not having those risks while still having that convenience is, I think, what Kizuna offers. So for example, if you are part of an organization who wishes to have a communication tool for your members, which you would like to store safely somewhere, then you could use Kizuna and host your data for yourself without much of a hassle. Like Holoport will work just by plugging the computer basically to the internet and configuring it so that all your data gets stored in that particular computer and nowhere else. So basically, Kizuna could offer more choices for people who would like to have more agency over the data that they produce, something like that. So yeah, that's what Kizuna is, I would say, in a not hopefully a not so technical way. Yeah.
Super. And we've got a follow-up question from the live chat. So Tats, you said something about direct messaging and working around the problem of asynchronous messaging. How would that work? The only thing I can think about is an intermediary.
Right. Yeah, so right now, so I'm not like definitely sure on this. So like, I mean, it's not like definitely, I'm not just sure when it will happen or whether it will happen or not. But one of the ways that we are looking at it is, we're looking at the possibility of some sort of ephemeral storage of data, to so we're basically storing a particular piece of data which can be retrieved by the recipient later on when he comes back online. And the question is, okay, where does that data get stored? And one of the ways we're looking at, and again, like, I don't know how it will happen or how exactly we will do it. We're still looking at it, so I can't say anything definitely, but have some ways for the neighborhood of that particular agent to store that entry or data. And then when that agent comes back online, or when its conductor comes back online, there will be some way to retrieve that data from the neighbors asking, hey, do you have any data for me while I was gone? And people could do that to each other, or nodes could do that to each other somehow. And so something like that. So again, yeah, that's a good question, because it's right. We need to have some sort of kind of like a proxy for the data that doesn't get delivered to the recipient synchronously, right? So
yeah,
that's one way we were looking at. We'll see if that works. Then great, awesome. If not, we have to look at other ways to do it still. But yeah, so that's for direct messaging. Yeah, so for group, there's not much of a problem, because we're always storing the messages in the DHT encrypted.
super. Well, there aren't any other questions that come in. Actually, I have to say 5 really, really good questions today. So I love it's also really interesting having, thanks so much Tats and Akira for doing this, because like it's really interesting to be able to see some of the technical, architectural, and social choices that you need to make, and the things, the tensions and the trade-offs along the way. It's such an important part in this ecosystem of building, isn't it? It's about those choices that have been made and how they're being approached. So I really want to celebrate the responses in those questions. If there's nothing else, then I think we call the AMA to a close, and then yeah, get online for the next one in the next, say, 4 weeks or so.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully by that time we can show everyone how Kizuna will look like.
Yeah,
Amazing.
pretty exciting. We'll keep everyone posted through our channels about the next month, because next month is going to be pretty exciting. So I'm preparing some things around this event. So I'll spill more details later on. But really, it's super exciting, and the community is also pretty exciting right now. So yeah, thanks for hosting again, David.
Thank you.
Super, absolute pleasure. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. See you, everyone.
See you.
Bye bye.